Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to cover the answers to the Narrative Tenses Worksheet. Let's begin with part 1. Highlight the correct answer. Let's go sentence by sentence. Number 1. Before the British Army arrived in Concord, Paul Revere had been writing or had written for hours to warn the colonists. So in this case, the correct answer is had been writing. Why? Because this is the past perfect continuous or prolonged actions in the past. So how do we know that this is a prolonged action? Because of this time expression here for hours. Number 2, while General Washington had crossed or was crossing the Delaware River, a fierce winter storm was raging. So in this case, we're going to choose the past progressive because we have two actions happening at the same time. And the clue is the use of while. That means two simultaneous actions taking place at the same time. So we're going to write the explanation here, past continuous or two simultaneous actions. Number 3, the Declaration of Independence had been signed or was signed on July 4, 1776, a document that changed history forever. So in this case, we're going to choose was signed because we have no indication of previous actions, and this is a main action taking place in the past. So this is main completed action in the past. Number 4, by the time the British forces surrendered at Yorktown, the American and French armies had been besieging or were besieging the city for weeks. So in this case, we have a clear indication that this is a prolonged action. So we're going to go with the past perfect continuous. So again, prolonged action. Number 5, after the Boston Tea Party, the British government had been introduced a series of harsh laws to punish the colonists. In this case, we're going to go with introduced. Why? Because it's a main completed action in the past. No previous past, no indication of that. And we see the word after. So we can be totally sure about that. Number 6, the British soldiers were surprised because the colonists had been preparing or had prepared for the arrival for a long time. So again, we see here an indication that this is a prolonged action in the past. Therefore, we will go with the past perfect continuous, had been preparing. And the explanation is prolonged action in the past. So the same here. We're talking about the past. Number 7, the colonists were suffering or had suffered greatly during the war, so they were relieved when the peace treaty was signed in 1783. Okay, so we need to ask ourselves here, what happened first? So there was a peace treaty signed in 1783. They were relieved. So both of these actions are simultaneous, but this happened first. So when we have an action in the past that happens before the other action in the simple past, we must use the past perfect. And okay, in simple terms, this is past before the past. Number 8, the news of the victory at Saratoga was so important because the French had been waiting or had waited to join the war until the Americans showed they could win a major battle. So again, in this sentence, we see that they were waiting for a long time. So that's a prolonged action in the past. Therefore, we will choose had been waiting. That is the past perfect continuous. So prolonged action in the past. Okay, let's move on to part 2. Complete the conversation. Use the past simple or the past continuous of the verbs in brackets. Highlight your answers. Okay, so a good idea here is to read the sentence in full, especially when we have more than one blank. So, okay, I call you during the Prime Minister's questions, but you will not answer. What you do? Okay, so here we have two simultaneous actions. I mean, two actions that are completed and happened in the past. So this is didn't answer. Okay, so we need to highlight the answers. Okay, and I will just copy this to copy the highlighting, and then what? Okay, what? No, what were you doing? Okay, what were you doing? Good. Okay, okay, no pronoun given here, but I assume it's I. Okay. The division bell, but I give a tour of parliament to school children. Anyway, what you want. Okay, so there is a background action here, which is I was giving, which was interrupted by another action, which is in the simple past. So very importantly, you at this point you must show mastery of the simple past forms, both regular and irregular. Okay. Anyway, what? This is a question. What did you want? Okay. Next paragraph. Well, while I study the Hansard records yesterday, I find notes about the 1689 Bill of Rights. Should we use them for the exhibit? Okay, so while is usually an indicator of past progressive. So while I was studying background information, okay, let's highlight it. Uh, I found. So this is the action that interrupts. Okay, and that's part two. Let's continue with part three. Fill in the blanks with the correct past tense forms of the verbs from the box below. Use each verb once. Highlight your answers. Okay, so we have the verbs wait, see, prepare, secretly signal, write, search, arrive, gather, spread, ring out, and begin. And the story goes on April 18, 1775, Paul Revere. Okay, so this is obviously about Paul Revere's Midnight Ride, which is one of the legendary stories that took place during the American Revolution. So some background knowledge about this story would be great to complete this exercise. Okay, so first we need to read the whole extract for context and then decide on the best verbs. Okay, so I will do that quickly and in silence. Okay, now we can start completing this. So Paul Revere was waiting. So this is a background action. Was waiting. Okay, typo there. When he saw, this is the main action that interrupts the background action. Two lanterns in Christchurch Tower. He had prepared for this moment. So this is the past before the past perfect. His friend had been signaling prolonged action in the past about British movements for weeks. Okay, so the indication here is for weeks. I'm referring to for weeks, okay? Then as Revere rode, right, rode towards Lexington, British patrols uh, were searching for him. That's the background action. Okay, by the time he um, arrived, the militia had gathered. I mean, this happened before he arrived. We have two actions. One of them happened first, and we use the past perfect. In this case, had gathered. Because writers had been spreading prolonged action with the past perfect continuous, the alarm all night. Suddenly, shots uh, rang out. The revolution had begun. Okay, there we have part 3. Okay, let's move on to part 4. Combine the sentences using the linking device in brackets. Use the correct tense. Example, the British passed the Stamp Act. The colonists started protesting. When? The British had passed the Stamp Act when the colonists started protesting. Okay, so that's one action taking place before the other one. So we use the past perfect here for the first action, and then the past simple for the main action. Okay, so I will insert page break here. Okay, good. So we have number 1, Paul Revere wrote to Lexington. He saw the lantern signal as soon as. So we can say Paul Revere. Okay, and I will just copy all of this. Paul Revere wrote to Lexington, and then as soon as, let's change this, as soon as he saw the lantern signal. Okay, and that complies with what was requested, but maybe another option would be like this. As soon as he saw the lantern signal, Paul Revere wrote to Lexington. But here, to make it more accurate, we could change Paul Revere and then use just an exchange of words. Okay, so that's number 1. Then number 2, the Continental Army trained at Valley Forge. The winter was harsh. So we could say, okay, let's just copy and paste and insert while here. While the winter was harsh. Okay, the Continental Army trained at Valley Forge while the winter was harsh. Or again, we can change the order and put this one first with a comma. While the winter was harsh, it's an adverbial phrase. I mean, yes, the Continental Army trained at Valley Forge. Okay, and there, small caps. Okay, number 3. Cornwallis surrendered at Yorktown. The French fleet blocked the harbor because. Okay, so here, yeah, we can just copy it, paste it, and here, because to introduce a subordinate clause. But here, one of the actions happens first. Okay, so we need to determine which one because, okay, surrendered, that's a consequence. The French fleet blocked the harbor, that's the cause. So here we will use the past perfect. Or we could start with the subordinate clause like this. Okay, just cut it, paste it here, comma, uppercase. Because the French fleet had blocked the harbor, Cornwallis surrendered at Yorktown. Great. And number 4, Parliament debated the tax. The king dissolved it during. Oh, okay. So this is more challenging. Both actions happening at the same time. Okay, so with a slight change, maybe during the debate about the tax. the king dissolved the parliament. Okay, or the king dissolved the parliament. Okay, and then no comma needed during the debate about the tax. So lowercase during and period. Okay, so that's part 4. Okay, and finally, we will deal with part 5, which is independent writing. This is a good opportunity to test your mastery of the narrative tenses in a real creation by yourself. The instructions are: write an 80 to 100 word story as a colonist or a British soldier. Use, okay, 2 verbs in the past continuous for background actions, 3 verbs in the past simple for main events, 1 in the past perfect for earlier action, what I call past before the past, 1 past perfect continuous verb for prolonged actions or duration, and throw in some linking devices to the mix. Okay, of course, I had already written this story, so this is what is expected. This is called the first shot. While I was marching with the militia towards Lexington in the early morning, the sky was just beginning to lighten. We had been protesting British taxes for years, but now everything felt different. Suddenly, a single shot rang out. We immediately took cover behind a stone wall. By the time the smoke cleared, I saw a redcoat soldier who had dropped his musket. I realized the fight for our liberty had truly begun. It was a moment I knew I would never forget. Okay, so then I color coded the different verbs. So we see I was marching, the sky was just beginning to lighten. Those are past continuous verbs. Then we have the past simple verbs highlighted in green. Everything felt different. A single shot rang out. We took cover. The smoke cleared. I saw. I realized. It was. I knew. So we're using way more than 3. And that's simply because remember that the past simple is used for main events. So usually it's the most frequent tense in narrations of events in the past. Okay, then we have in cyan, the verbs in the past perfect, a redcoat soldier who had dropped his musket, so that's 1, and the fight for our liberty had truly begun. That's another one in the past perfect, and then 1 in the past perfect continuous for prolonged actions. We had been protesting British taxes for years. So for years, it's a time phrase that shows us that this action is prolonged. And then we have some linking devices to make the story flow more naturally. While, for years, immediately, suddenly, by the time. Okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video and stay tuned for more videos like this. Thank you very much for watching.